Okay, looks like we're up and running. So I would like to thank everybody for coming out and welcome to our local author panel for marketing. I would like to thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate you kind of changing your schedule at the last minute and sort of rearranging some things on our ends. And I know that we couldn't be together in person, but I am so grateful that you guys are still willing to share your expertise and your experiences with being local creators in Prince George's County and agreeing to share your expertise with creatives of Prince George's County and residents of Prince George's County. So I'm very excited to get started, and we're going to start with I guess Aisha first. We'll go in alphabetical order. So Aisha, if you could do a brief introduction and just tell us about yourself, tell us about your writing and what you're working on, the books you have written, and what's coming up in the future for you.
Sure. Well, for those who don't know me, I am Aisha Rice, author of My Kinky Coily Hair book. I wrote this book almost 2.5 years ago, and it was, of course, a labor of love, as most authors will tell you, which love we know is both loving and so good for your heart and also heart-wrenching, so you get both sides. I am currently working on Imagination Storytime, which will be a show for both Facebook and YouTube, as well as my second book, which will star Charlie, my dog, of course, and just bringing something light and fun, especially in this crazy world that we're dealing with right now, just kind of something so kids can have a little bit of a mind, break from what we're seeing on TV, what we're seeing on the internet, that allows us to do something that we can do anywhere, at the grocery store, at home, which is using our imagination. And I think it's super duper important for us to get that, because imaginations lead to ideas, which then, as we all know, it can change the world. So diverse stories in a bottle, me and Bubby, we're gonna bring you guys some pretty cool things, but you guys know me from My Kinky Coily, and I'm excited to be here today. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming on. I guess I didn't introduce myself. Thank you guys. Thank you for that. I'm really excited for your new book and the dog. But I'm Ryiesha. I work at Prince George's County. I'm a selection librarian, and I'm really excited to get to do this with everyone. This is something that Kelsey and Alice and Rachel and I have been working on for a very long time, to get creators in Prince George's County, to get our local authors more shine. And so I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy that you guys are here too. So I just wanted to say that briefly before we move on to Austin.
Okay, I am Austin Camacho. Hello, everyone. I am the author of the Hannibal Jones mystery series and several other thrillers. I've got 14 books in print, excuse me. And I'm currently working on the first novel of a new series, which will be about an African-American female assassin, professional assassin. Yeah, a lot of action. I'm really happy to participate in this kind of a thing, because I have, over the course of the last couple of decades, I have been self-published. I have been with a small press, and I have helped to start a small press myself, Intrigue Publishing. So I have a variety of views on how this all works. And I'm really happy to be here with these folks, most of whom I know, and I know that they are real good at what they do. So, yeah.
Okay, we can go to RJ.
Okay. Hi, great. I'm RJ Creighton. I am the author of about a dozen books. Most of them are sort of in the dystopia, post-apocalyptic view. So they're sort of after the period we're facing right now if things went really bad. But hopefully we won't get to that point. We'll come out of this real strong, real happy. So I've got the Life First series, which is sort of dystopian after a serious pandemic harms the population. I also have a series called the Virus series, also after a pandemic. And though I do have a great book for people who want something a little happier, more of a romance novel called Scented, about teenage love. So that's happier and cheerful for this moment. And I'm just really excited to be here and glad to share any tips on marketing and advice for you on new authors out there.
And Shelley?
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Shelley Ellis. I am a romance, well, formerly romance, but I mostly do women's fiction now. Writer. I've published about a dozen books, 3 novellas. Um, One of my books, Another Woman's Man, was nominated for NAACP Image Award in 2015. Um, I still stay with the same press, but I also self-publish simultaneously. I have a book coming out on August the 11th called She Wears the Mask. It's historical women's fiction. And I was invited to be on the panel, but I'm here to learn just as much as the people who are watching this video, because I know that there are people who are much better marketers than me who have done trial and error and figured out how to get the word out about their books. So I can share information, but like I said, I'm also here to learn as well. Thank you.
And that's what's so great about being an author, is that we can continue to grow and learn about our craft and the things that we, may have not known before when we first put out our first book. And now that you guys have dozens of books, I was looking at some of you guys' catalogs today before we got started, and you guys have dozens and dozens of books. I'm so impressed and also just grateful that you guys have so much information. But for someone who's just starting out, they have one book and they have their one idea that they have. What is the tip that you can offer about their next step? So they have their finished novel in their hands that's been edited, and they're like, how do I get this in the hands of readers? What's their next step? RJ?
Yeah, so if it's edited and it's ready to go and you feel like it's good, you need to sort of decide what process you want to go through. A lot of people choose to self-publish, which means you're going to be doing sort of all the legwork yourself in terms of getting it edited, getting it out formatted, and getting it in print as well as in ebook format. Or you can go the route of a traditional publisher, which used to be the only way to go generally, and that would mean you would need to find an agent. So you're going to spend a lot more time getting that book really, really, really into shape and really sellable. So somebody, upon reading the first page, goes, I want this person as a client. And just with the age of the internet and email, agents, I think I saw a stat where an agent was like, I got like 1 million query letters last year and I picked 7 clients. So you have very long odds. And I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying it's not an easy process to get an agent. An agent is going to take a commission of some type, usually I think around 15%. And then you're going to go with the publisher, and it's going to be a longer process. If you would like your work to get out there a little bit quicker, then self-publishing is probably the way to go, because you can send it out to the world fairly quickly, as long as you've got it edited and you find a good cover, and you've gotten some good feedback before you don't send out your first draft. Make sure it's really in good shape. And then you will be more in control, because you'll pick the cover, you'll pick how to market it, and then usually for most of the ebook platforms, you get to keep 70% of the profits. So I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in.
Yeah, sure. Anyone else, feel free to chime in.
Well, I can only say I agree with everything that RJ said. Maybe a slightly different spin on it. I would encourage people not to be in that big a hurry to get their book out in the street. Go ahead and submit to some agents, or maybe even to some small presses. Often they don't need an agent, but at least give that a try. Don't assume that no one wants to publish my book. And set yourself a timeline. I'm going to submit for X number of months, and if nobody picks me up, then I'll go the self-published route. And before you do that, do a lot of research. There are a lot of good books out now, not so much when I started, but there really is a lot to this. The editing, the proofreading, the formatting of the book, finding an artist to do a good cover, and getting your ISBN numbers, and that whole ball of wax. So do the legwork, do the research before you dive in. That'd be my advice.
You mentioned some articles and resources that people that, you said there are books and stuff available now. Do you have like one go-to book or anything that you think that new authors could use or that could lay it out, or is it just kind of like a research sort of thing?
Yes, I say, well, can't go in a bookstore right this minute, but you can certainly Google, go to Amazon and look for self-publishing, and you'll find dozens and dozens of possible books to look through. And anything that I used, anything that's more than 3 or 4 years old is probably already obsolete, because the world of publishing changes very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to add that having a publisher who did a lot of stuff for me, I will say even in the publishing world, you will have to learn how to market yourself. Publishers still have limited marketing budgets, so you will be responsible. They'll even ask you, a lot of times you'll get a marketing sheet. Well, they'll ask you, what is your website? What is your Twitter account? What is your Facebook? What is your plan? So that we can integrate with what you already plan to do to make sure that you get the rollout that you think you should get. So I would say no matter what, you should come prepared. Even if you have, I have a publisher and an agent, and I still check in with my the marketing director at our publishing company and saying, like, so what are we doing with the book? What plans do we have? You're still going to have to advocate for yourself either way, self-publishing or a traditional publisher.
Okay, so a bunch of you have mentioned having a marketing plan, like having something laid out that says, this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to start, and this is what I'm going to do. How does one start, once they finish, they have an idea for a book, they write their book, but how do you start to make a marketing plan for yourself? Is it sort of something, is it a guesswork? Is it like, how do you make a market for yourself for something that you're not really sure about? Like if you're a brand new novice writer. Is it an advice sort of thing? Is it like, how do you break into the market that you want to write in?
I can jump in. For me, I'm self-published. This is my first book, My Kinky Coily Hair. I really broke down who was my audience. And with children's books, it's like a multiplicity of people. Not only is it the child, it's also the parent, and then teachers, of course, librarians. You're looking at like, okay, where am I going to donate a majority of my time? Because I want to make sure that I'm putting in, if I'm saying, okay, kids, how am I marketing to kids? If it's their parents, then how am I marketing to a parent in order for the parent to want to pick up this book and bring it home to their child? Now, of course, the parent, they have money in their pocket. So we like that. Kids, it's easier when you're in person because you can kind of pull them in with other things. So I would say how I did it, just with one book, of course, you guys, you've got the multiple books in, but really hone in on who is your audience, because that is really what is going to help you. It's finding out your core people. Who are your group that is supposed to really fall in love with your character, really going to kind of pull in and be like, oh my gosh, I need this book for my cousin, my goddaughter, my, sister's cousin, everybody, just the whole family, the teachers who want to bring it to schools, in really kind of finding what about the book helps them. And for me with teachers, it's like, you can go talk in confidence. You can talk about just a multiplicity of things with the book versus people just assuming like, oh, it's just one level. It's about hair. Okay, cool. Well, it also is a little more than hair. And being able to kind of explain that so they can build, programs and classes around it. Okay, we're going to talk about, discrimination and how stuff, just a multiplicity of things. So I would say audience, Austin, RJ, Michelle, what do you guys think?
Very important to know who your audience is, who wants that book. In my case, I compare my detective character or my thriller characters to other characters in the marketplace. And Facebook, for example, makes it very easy to target people who are interested in a particular character or a particular series, a particular author. And I target those people. I go after those people. Again, much easier when you can be face-to-face, but I do what I can on the social media. Yeah.
I would add that in addition to the audience, also have comparables. what is your book similar to that's already in the marketplace? And everybody says, my book is original. You've never seen it before. But buyers are used to, even if you're going on Amazon, they will say, if you like this book, you would like. Have some books that you are able to tell the reader, if you like this, then chances are you'll like my book too. So it's also looking at the competition that's out in the market, in being able to position yourself and sell yourself to people that even though they may not know you, they may be familiar with this other book.
Okay, that's excellent advice. So knowing your own material, right? Knowing what you're writing for, also knowing the audience who you're writing for. And that's excellent advice. So speaking of social media, like you started, Austin, so since we cannot be in person, right, what are some of the platforms that you guys go to the most when you guys promoting or marketing your book? What are your go-to sites that you're like, I know I'm going to get traffic here. I know I'm going to get, even if it's not a sale, but you know you'll get likes or retweets or clicks or anything like that. What are your go-to platforms where people interact with you the most, that you feel like this is the place that I can market my book the best?
One of the questions I hear most often, and I personally am comfortable on Facebook and on Twitter, and I suggest to new authors, there are dozens of social media possibilities. Pick one or two that you're good at and converse with people. Got to remember that it is social media. So there needs to be give and take. Don't just post stuff all the time. You need to comment on other people's things and expect comments on yours. Facebook and Twitter have both worked well for me, and I really haven't gotten too deeply into others. I will quickly add that I do have a website, and everybody should have a website, but it's kind of it's almost a static display. It's like putting up a billboard. It ought to be a place where when people Google you, they'll find something about you. But as far as the exchange goes, Facebook and Twitter have been my go-tos. I'm curious what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, anyone?
I like Facebook, but again, I'm not super active on Facebook, and I do have a newsletter. So I find that, the thing with Facebook is that, you've got to compete with the algorithm to even sort of get seen. And even though, if you're interacting a lot, you still may not get seen. And so if you have your own newsletter, that can sort of really get that message to people who are interested and would actually like to see it. Hopefully you're not going into spam. But I found sort of sending out stuff in the newsletter can be helpful. And if, sometimes in the newsletter, if I've seen something either like that I've blogged about or that even a Facebook post that was kind of interesting that hasn't gotten a little traction, I may just mention in the bottom of the newsletter, hey, here's what I've been up to lately. And that will also pull some people who hadn't seen it or who aren't on Facebook or who aren't as active, they'll kind of pull them back in towards you. So that's a good way to do things as well.
I can jump in. I do Facebook, but mine more so is IG, Instagram. I tend to probably be on Instagram a lot, and then Facebook. And for me, it just is the same situation as Facebook. It's the constantly being able to talk to people in real time. A lot of people will do IG Live, and you can kind of find people who have, their whole page built around children's books, book reviews. So, obviously very good to comment on those people's pages. Keep in contact with them. Oh, that's a cool review. This is it. Then when they're looking for books, they're remembering, oh, the author, Aisha, you have a book. Can you send me your book? I'll review it. And that's a way to kind of get a promotion of back and forth, or you're saying, hey, check out these people. A lot of mobile bookstores I also right now have really been contacting with via Instagram. We have a mobile I'm Booked box here in the DC area, but also in Chicago, there's a bunch of mobile books, which I love. That's a whole new concept for me, but people have turned vans into bookstores, which is pretty cool. Because as the library is, sadly shut down, we want to be able to feel like we can still find new books. If you don't have friends who read, if you do, just, wear your mask and self-quarantine 6 distance apart and go over their house and pick out a book for
Hey, Aisha, do you mind me asking, with Instagram, do you post a lot of images? And if so, I'm just kind of curious, what kind of things are you posting on Instagram?
Yeah, so I do post a lot of images, images from when I interacted with people, images from events. It just kind of depends. I like to kind of plan, as they'll tell you. It helps kind of keep, because Instagram is a constant feed. That's the only thing. It is a constant, like everybody wants to see you every day. I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon with COVID, which I think is okay sometimes to step away. I really believe it is. People don't always have to be plugged in. You can go on and speak your piece every so often, and that's okay too. And that will kind of help you filter through people, which personally I'm okay with. I want the core people to be there and know that I'm still touchable and responding to messages, just like we're talking now, and people are hopefully getting this information. On Instagram, you'll get tons of questions where people are asking, how I want to write my first book. And for me, I'm always encouraging, because I feel like we all have a story to tell. Just as Michelle, you had said, your book is going to be different in some way, but maybe it's similar to this book. And that's okay, because maybe that person's book speaks to these type of people from this background, and your book speaks to another type of people. And the bottom line is, we love books and we want everybody to read and really be about literacy. So the more books, the merrier. But yeah, so for me, it's just keeping up if I can. If I'm not hard on myself, which I had to learn to not be hard on yourself if you can't keep it up with it every day. Just do what you can when you can, and that's okay.
Okay, so thank you for those questions. Answers. Those are great. I have one question. RJ, you mentioned newsletters to get points across instead of social media posts and that sort of thing. Are you the only? Does anybody else have a newsletter? And if you do, how do you reach more people? How do you get subscribers? How do you stay, I guess, in touch with people through your newsletter? How do you get announcements out? That sort of thing.
If you haven't,
go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, for me with my newsletter, I started with, I just initially put it on the website just as a tab under subscribe. And eventually I moved to what people call a reader magnet, which is where I would give away one book free when you subscribe to the newsletter. And then the first book in a series, in order to sort of give people a sense of the book. And then they would subscribe and then get the next books in the series. And so that's one way that people do it. And a lot of people, I'm not really sure. I'll let Austin speak.
Well, it sounds as though I've stolen some of your playbook. Because a giveaway for people who sign up does draw more people in. Often on my Facebook page, I will post a contest. I'm going to give away 2 books and some sort of swag for every time 10 more people sign up. One of those 10 will get the prize. That has worked pretty well for me. But I don't do it on a regular basis like most people do. I generally will put out a newsletter a week before the next event I'm going to be at, or the next book release or something of that nature. So there's always some news peg for
I think you might have put yourself on mute.
I muted myself, sorry. There's also always something humorous there, and some sort of value-added content. I will review someone else's book and say, this is a good one for you, or something other than "Yay, Austin," so that there's some value to reading the newsletter.
So that's a good point. So like you said, also, instead of just posting links all the time, you have to be social, and you also have to offer more things than just you in your newsletter. And to go back, RJ, you had said something about a reader magnet. So that brings me to my next question. about reader magnets and about freebies is I know that a lot of authors use freebies to get people to sign up or to pay for the next book in the series or that sort of thing. How much is too much free versus paid? Or is it, do you try to do a balance of both? Or what's your process with enticing people with free items to convert them into sales?
I think it's when you have just one book, it's obviously very hard. You don't want to give away your one book for free. So if you do have just one thing, sometimes what people will do is they'll write a short story that can serve like as a prequel or a post sort of story event that sort of can tie into that one book that they're trying to sell. But I agree, I think you have to strike the right balance. You've got to kind of internally in your own self say, what is it that I'm comfortable with giving away? And so I didn't give away my book immediately. I didn't even give it away after I got a full series of 3. I kind of was on my second series and my 6th book, and I was like, well, you know what, let's just try something different to bring more people in. And so I think you really have to decide. I mean, some people don't like giving away anything for free. But I will be honest, the first time I actually read a Malcolm Gladwell book was when it was free on Amazon, and then I loved it, and I read like all his other books, and it was like a way old book. So I know that free works. I've had that experience, and for some people it just happens to be they just need to take a chance on it, and they weren't going to take a chance on it any other way. And I think if you have something out there that is good, not something that's kind of garbage. It's got to be good because people have to say, oh, this was so good, I want to get the next thing. If you've got something good and it can entice people, then it's worth giving it a try. I'll let others chime in.
I only usually do free giveaways either on BookBub or on Goodreads. The reason why I usually only do it in those 2 venues is because they're high readership see it. So it's not an individual who are saying like, oh, I really like your book. And I say, sure, take a free book. But if I put it on Goodreads, usually when people sign up for giveaways, a little box pops up on their feed to say that this person signed up for such and such as giveaway. So that it's kind of like free advertisement. You didn't have to buy an ad on their page, but when they signed up for it, other readers who follow them or were friends with them now see that this person has interest in what you're reading. And usually, I'm not saying that all the people who read my book are like, oh, I love it, but it was a chance to get your name out to people who may not have seen you before. So I haven't tried other types of giveaways so far, but usually those are the only types that I've done. And I've done it by myself, and my publisher usually does it.
Those are really excellent strategies. I want to try all of those, actually. I did not know that Goodreads told you that when other people entered giveaways. I'm hardly on Goodreads, so I have no idea about that, but wow, that's crazy. I did not know that. Were you saying something, Austin?
I wanted to mention that when we're talking about giveaways, we don't only mean a hard copy paper book. It is, of course, much less expensive to give away an ebook or an audio book. And during these COVID days, it's a lot easier for people to get an ebook or an audio book. And my personal experience has been, I don't know if it helps sales all that much, but I get a lot more reviews from the people that I give an audiobook to or an ebook to than the people that I have in the past given paper books to. Don't know why, but that's been my experience.
Okay. Nice. Aisha, I know your experience is kind of different from everyone else's. A lot of people have several books and you have one, but when I went on your website, you had other items that you were selling, like backpacks and t-shirts, and you had like a natural hairline and some hand soap and that sort of thing. So how does that sort of all tie in with your book? And do you sort of consider it as a brand, or is it sort of like a package deal?
So on my website, yes, Kinky Coily, the website is Diverse Stories in a Bottle, which that is the parent company, the brand. So Kinky Coily is just one book of Diverse Stories in a Bottle, other books forthcoming. I do the shirts because I've spent a lot of time in schools. For me, it was really important to kind of get my book out there. And because I was self-published, I kind of knew I kind of had to make it work. So I put myself on book tour throughout the school system, as far as up as Connecticut and as low down as North Carolina, and just kind of going to different schools. The good thing about schools, guys, if you don't know, there's an honorarium fee. And so what that means is, as an author, you can walk into a school and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to provide you guys. I did presentations surrounding my book. An honorarium fee is a fee that the school will pay for your services to come in, to present your book to the children, to read to the children. You know, I like to make it fun, so I, of course, did other things, and really just kind of joking the fun of literacy. And so that, to me, is like, even though I wasn't always able to give every child a book, in those moments where I made a connection with the child, I would give free giveaways, because to me, that made so much more the difference. I know that child really, really needed the book and wanted the book and connected with the book. And I've noticed by doing that, I would then get other sales from that same area. So it would be, they'd go home, the parent probably asked, how did you get this book? They'd read the book with the child and then realize, oh, we need to order a book for the cousin or the goddaughter or somebody else that wasn't at the school present at the time. So you kind of want to find those other ways that aren't really the traditional ways to do it. The products are actually not my products. I was out and met somebody at one of my book festivals with a company called Soapbox Soaps. And so Soapbox Soaps, they do hand soap, which of course we all love right now. The hand soap is like gold. But in addition to hand soap, they do hair products and body products. And where it really connected with me is that, just like how I like to kind of bring everything back to community for every product that's bought, they also donate a product back to that same area. So that was really important to me, that I was able to be like, okay, I can partner with this company and I can bring your products out when I come out and still get a percentage of what I'm selling. And then in addition, you guys are going to donate back to this community that I'm in right now. To me, that means a lot. Not all the time, you know, is in your mind, you might think it's a lot of extra work if it's not your steez. For me, it makes sense. You know, why not partner with somebody? I don't make hair products. I don't even want to try to make hair products. I have a lot of hair. So I appreciate, you know, being able to get products and telling other people why these products are, you know, really good for my hair and for my body. And, you know, you kind of want to see stuff like that. With the shirts and the book bags just came because being in the school system, and, you know, kids love love a good freebie, and shirts are like gold to them. I mostly do like elementary to middle school age, but something simple that I didn't mind, like, okay, I'm going to print a couple shirts. And then I only really started putting them on my site when I started getting parents, and I started having adult men ask me, oh, you don't have any, you know, 3X kinky coily hair. I was like, okay, well, I didn't realize, you know, that you guys wanted to wear it, but I totally will print them. If you guys want to wear my kinky coily hair shirt, I love that. You know, please wear it.
So it sounds like you kind of built a partnership with people and then also offered merchandise that kind of tied into what you were already doing. Does anybody else like kind of offer merchandise, or is that like, no? Everybody's like, nah, no. Okay.
I mean, it definitely is a touch and go with the merchandise. Like I have, you know, tried stickers, tried different things. You kind of got to figure out what for your audience works.
Yeah, works.
And what makes sense, so that, you know, you don't jump the gun and you don't go print 500 shirts. You do small batch orders and test it, and then see like, okay, how many do I need to have on hand, and do it that way versus, you know, especially if you're self-published. You don't want to put all that money up front. Of course, we like to get the money coming in and not so much pushing it out. And so just be smart about it.
Okay, so speaking of merchandise and kind of segueing into the next question, if we had done this in person, what were some of the things that you would have on your table, or what you have on, like, with your author name or whatever, like, what, to entice people, to bring people to your table to purchase your books? Or is that even important to you? Is that something that matters to you at all?
Yeah. Oh, starting back with me. Oh, yeah. Somebody else could jump. Austin, go first. I was already talking.
On the table, I always have some of my business cards that people can take home with them. I will always have some bookmarks that have some sales copy on them. And I came up with a trifold brochure when my second book came out. Now I have way many, but it has a little write-up about each of my novels. And my experience has been that this is a very powerful tool. When you're someplace in person, you're sitting in a bookstore or coffee shop or something, a lot of people blow by. You don't get the dwell time. You make eye contact, hi, how you doing? But if you put something in their hand, they'll wander around in the back of the store, and quite often a couple will come back and say, oh, I was just reading about this novel. This is interesting. And that can roll into a sale. So these are things that I always have on hand.
Anyone else? Nope, okay.
I can go.
Sure.
I also, well, children's books, so of course I have candy on my table, always. Always. Who doesn't like free candy? Even the adults, because it's just candy. I also tend to bring like touch and feel things. A lot of people, may know what this is, may not know what this is. It helps because it is in the book, and it also is like a little historical piece. For those of us who know, it's a hot comb. A lot of kids nowadays really don't know what it is. So that makes kind of a fun learning moment of trying to explain that this is actually put on a stove and heated and then put on your hair, and their faces, gold. Gold. They're like, what? Your hair? I'm like, yeah, your hair. Or like stuff they can kind of look at, little mirrors, little things they can kind of mess around with, just kind of on the table that will keep them there long enough. So if there was a walking parent, the parent has now had to stop and figure out where the child went and come back to the table to kind of get them. And then it's like, oh, the person, hello.
Okay, cool. So that sounds like a little marketing secret that you have. So what are some of the other marketing secrets that you guys have? Like little small things that you do that like it's going to work for you every single time.
I don't know if it's something that works every single time, but I think one thing that some people that they don't often think about, certainly, but when you're creating your books and you publish a new book, you should, particularly with your ebooks, go back to all your other ebooks and include the new book, just so that people have a full catalog for you. So if someone picks up book 1 and they pick it up today after you've published book 10, they should know that there are 10 additional books. And it's a little simple thing. It takes, it's just a procedural thing that you have to do after you finish the books. But it makes a difference, because that's how people realize, particularly if they like the book, when they get to the end and they're like, oh, this person has like 7 other books. Let me go buy those books right now. And so that's a great little tip, because it doesn't take much time at all. And it can lead to rewards, and you've already got that person. And once you've already got that person and they're interested, that's really the best time to try to market to them again.
I'm taking that tip. I'm writing that down just because I forget to update links all the time. Anybody else?
The cool thing about ebooks is that it's very easy for the reader to spontaneously move to another book. So at the back of each ebook, I try to include the first chapter of the next book in the series.
Oh, okay.
Now you're already reading it. And if it's relevant, and if it moves them, then very often they'll just click on through to the next one. Not relevant to anything, but I want to comment that the characters in RJ's books handle the situation a whole lot better than we have in person. That's all I'm saying about COVID. Now I'm off that.
Aisha, Shelley, any marketing secrets you guys have?
I was going to say that don't sleep on blog tours. Now, the caveat with that is that when you're doing blogs, it's basically them giving their opinion. So you don't know if it's going to be a great review or a bad review. But I will say at least it's getting your name out there. A lot of bloggers are readers. They're fans of reading, so they have reading friends. They have other friends who read their blogs. I've done blog tours before. Some with more success than others. It basically depends on, I usually contract out to blog tour companies, and they set it up for me. I will let bloggers know that I follow, like on Twitter, that I'm doing a blog tour. Please sign up so that you can get a copy of the book, and they can sign you up according to a date. And that's the other thing. Blog tours are usually pre-scheduled, so it's not all of them sending out stuff about your book at the same time. So you can get a marketing distance of from a week to a month, because all of these people are talking about your book on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and it's because they signed up for this blog tour ahead of time. So if you're willing to invest the money in something, I would say, and if you want to be able to do it online, I would say a blog tour might be an investment you should consider.
And just sort of piggybacking on that, also just guest blogging sometimes can help. If you know there's a good blog out there that's popular, that's got a lot of people who read in your genre, just contacting that blogger and be like, hey, I'd like to do a guest post on whatever subject that blogger blogs on that would be relevant, and see if they'll accept it. And if you guest blog, you know, at the bottom, you just put your bio, like so-and-so, or like RJ Crayton is the author of these books. And that can bring you some additional eyeballs on your books too, in sort of a back end way, because they have to like the blog post, and it's usually not about the specific book. It's usually about a topic of interest on that blog, but that's also a good thing to try as well.
Okay. Anybody? Aisha, you had
No, I don't have, I was about to say, I have nothing to add, because everybody, I mean, I'm taking notes. Everybody gave really good advice.
Yeah, that was really good advice. That was really good advice. So now that we talked a little about your expertise and the things that you guys know about, what are some of the things you're looking forward to learning more about? What are some things you feel like, I really don't know a lot about this, I'm looking forward to learning more about how to do this or how to get here? What are some of the things you're looking forward to, and what can we look forward to from you guys as we kind of wind down this thing? What are some of your next steps, and what are you looking forward to learning?
Well, my blog post in January this year, I think it was in January, I said I would like to do an audiobook, because I still haven't done an audiobook. So that is what I'm looking forward to learning and figuring out that process. I have heard different things, like that you need to find the reader first, because people actually follow particular people actors who act out the books. And so that was interesting to me. So this year I'm going to delve into audiobooks, and that's what I'm interested in learning about for the coming year.
If you want to do audiobooks, I know that Amazon has the AX service. I used it for one of my audiobooks, and you can consider that. They have actors that can audition for you. You post your book online in an excerpt, and you can ask the actors to read it for you, and they have to basically audition, and you can work out the fee or the split of how you want to distribute the audiobook. Sometimes it's sharing profits, and sometimes it's an upfront fee. So if you want to consider that, that's an option.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Anybody else? Austin, Aisha, Shelley, what are you guys looking forward to?
Well, naturally, I'm looking forward to continuing the work on my new book, because it's a new series and a new character. And
oh yes, the female assassin.
Yes, it's always exciting to me to start with something that's like from the ground up, and it's set in Washington, D.C. So what I'm looking forward to is the writing process and learning these new characters. On a larger scale, I'm very curious now over the coming year to see if other fiction writers are going to be writing their characters in a COVID-19 universe, or if everybody is just going to be writing as if nothing has happened and nothing has changed. I'm real curious to see what other writers are going to do.
That's interesting. We're going to have to see how publishing trends go in the next year or so to see what kind of material we get out of COVID-19. Aisha?
Yeah, I didn't even, Austin, that's such a good point. It kind of blew my eyes, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, how do we move forward and what is the universe that is going to be created post COVID? I am looking forward to kind of dabble in the script writing world, and Bubby, the character behind me, just kind of bringing him more to life and bringing literacy fun back, because in the post-COVID world, you know, will we still be social distancing to some terms? Will a lot of our information now just be coming online? And how do you make things fun for children and get them excited the way that we were to see Reading Rainbow and Magic School Bus and stuff like that, where you were so pulled in. And then it made us, well, me personally, a lifelong reader, because I was like, oh my gosh, these people are amazing. How do I live in that world? How do I get there? That I kind of want to go that way with more script writing, and then just finishing up the second book. And of course, making more online connections, like I'm connecting with you guys now. It's awesome. I think that, you know, Zoom, we forget with social media and everything that sometimes if the people feel so distant, but really we are lucky because we can talk to each other now. And you could also later on talk to somebody in Japan and talk to somebody in Brazil. And that just, as an author, guys, that means your audience is limitless. There are so many people now just looking for things to feed their mind. So just remember that.
I guess piggybacking off of everybody else about the COVID-19, and I will say that there have been a lot of romances that I've noticed have been set in a COVID-19 environment, some better than others, but for authors, marketing, a lot of people rely on book tours and expos and conferences. And now with the social distancing and even the limit on the amount of people who could be in a space, how is that going to affect book marketing? I see on Twitter a lot of people who were used to getting fees for doing book tours or appearances are now lamenting that they're losing lots of money because they can't do it anymore. And so you have stuff like Zoom and online appearances, but it's not covering the venues that they were used to going to. Luckily, I've never been the type of author that is like, oh, I make my money from touring the country. I've never been that person. So it didn't really affect me as much, but it does make me wonder, will we become more socially or more reliant as book or authors on marketing online now because of COVID-19? Will we have to change our strategies, and will we have to experiment more to try to get our books out into the world when you don't have those expos or conferences that you relied on in the past and that self-publishers or even big publishers were used to going to? So I'm interested in seeing what happens with that.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. Our future is definitely going to be extremely interesting in the next few months. So I want to thank you guys for all being here. I really appreciate it. I thank you for sharing your expertise, everything that you have experienced with marketing. I thank you for being a Prince George's County author. So before we go, I would like you guys to just name one thing that you love about Prince George's County Libraries. And RJ, we'll start with you.
Okay. I guess I love the fact that there are libraries, that there are lots of books. We really love the tree at the South Bowie Library in the children's section. So that's like that. We love to go there, and my daughter loves to sit under the near the tree and on those things. So those are fun.
I will be selfish and say and admit that what I love most about the Prince George's County Libraries is that they carry my books.
All right, good. Okay, that counts. Aisha, Shelley?
Sure, I could jump in. I love, beyond Austin's answer, ditto, but I really love that there's so much at the library. You can take so many classes at the libraries, guys. If you really didn't look into it, look into it. And They also have ebooks. I love that. Greenbelt Library is my library home, so I'm like, yeah, I love everything about it. The librarians, of course, just now we, social distancing, but yeah, I think Prince George's library system has been always really good to me, and I really love everything about it. So go online and check it out, guys.
Well, I've been a fan of Prince George's County Library since I was maybe 9 years old. At the Oxon Hill Library, I was going to the stacks, getting Sweet Valley Twins and the Babysitters Club. My family still uses it a lot. Yeah, in South Bowie Branch is also our branch. My daughter loves to go to that section. We've also, since COVID-19, and because the branches have been closed, have been abusing your ebook rentals. We've done about, I think, a book a week. We've been reading to her. We're now in the Bad Guy series, but we're on the wait list for one of the books. So I'm hoping that we can finish the rest of the series for her. Appreciate you guys offering the ebooks online.
Well, good. Thank you guys so much for coming. We thank you. We thank you for participating, for being patrons of our library. We love you guys. We love Prince George's County citizens and residents. So we appreciate you guys for being here. One last thing, just tell everybody where we can find you, your Facebook, your Twitter, your website, and so we can get familiar with you guys. I know you guys are all in the Prince George's County system, and as soon as we open back up, their books will be available for checkout. So you can tear through their books and support them and tweet them and send them love and thank them for being Prince George's County authors. So we'll just go really quickly and say where our websites and things that we can find you guys. And I just want to thank you guys for being here, and I really appreciate it. So Shelley, we'll start with you.
You can find all the information that you need about me at ShellyEllisBooks.com. It has my Twitter, my Facebook handle, and it has all my list of books. If you want to read my historical women's fiction work, that would be under ShellyStrattonBooks.com.
And RJ, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can go to my website and you can find everything at rjcreighton.com. It's got my Twitter, it's got my Facebook, it's got to sign up for my newsletter. So anything you want to know.
Aisha?
I am at diversestoriesinaBottle.com, as well as you can find me IG, Aisha Rice, or my Kinky Coily Hair book on Facebook, Aisha Rice, across all platforms, but Diverse Stories in a Bottle.
And Austin?
And my website, ascamacho.com, where you will find the links to my Facebook pages and to my Twitter feed. And, or, you could just Google me. Everything comes up, right?
Just Google me. Okay, we will Google you. Well, thank you guys again for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming out. And that was our marketing panel. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.